Hello and welcome to Chapter 2, Section 2. Today we're going to talk about adding integers. Remember, integers are positive and negative whole numbers. So, it looks like this. I can take a negative and a positive and a negative, a positive and a negative. You can also take a positive and a positive, but you learned that in first grade, so we're going to skip that part. When you're adding a negative number, we're going to put parentheses around it to separate these two, just so you understand that there's two signs right next to each other. After we do this, you will never, ever, ever see this again, just because nobody ever writes that way. But as you're learning, it's important to understand that when you add a negative, it's the same thing as subtracting a number, so that's okay. So we're going to start with our number line again. When we're adding and subtracting, the negative numbers go down and the positive numbers go up. So if you're adding a negative 6, if you're here and you're adding a 6, you go this way. If you're adding a negative 6, you go this way. Does that make sense? So we're going to actually try these and see what they look like on a number line. So for the first one, we're going to start at negative 2. And we're going to add a positive 5. That means we're going to go 5 in that direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to end up at 3. So that equals 3, a positive 3. See how that worked? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Next one, we're going to start at negative 3, and we're going to add a negative 6. Negative 6 means we go in this direction. So we're going to go back 6 spaces here, and our answer is going to be negative 9. Last one, we're going to start at the 4, and we're going to add negative 7. And negative means we're going to go in the negative direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So our answer here is negative 3. Do you see how that works? I'd like you to start with using the number line, and then I will wean you off of it rather quickly. So your turn. You've got 3 problems to do. Give them a shot, push pause, come back when you're done, and we'll cover them together, okay? All right. So, I'm going to switch colors. We're going to start at a 7. Oh, this is going to get confusing. You know what? 0, 5. We're going to start at 7. And we're going to go negative 4. We're going to add a negative 4. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And that gives us 3. This equals positive 3. Number 2, we're going to start at the 6, which is here, and we're going to go negative 11. I'm going to need more lines. Which one am I starting with? 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the negative 5 line. And lastly, we're going to start at negative 5. I already have a dot there, and we're going to go negative 3. That's 1, 2, 3. We're going to end up at negative 8. How'd you do? You comfortable with this? All right. This is how you add just using a number line. And then the question is, do I have to use a number line? Absolutely not. But you have to understand negative numbers enough to be able to work without it. So, if you've got a plus, you're going to add. If you've got a minus, you subtract. Look, this is a minus. So you're going to start at negative 5, and you're going to go negative 3 more. This is a 7. You're going to go negative 2 more. You're going to go in the negative direction. So minus means what you've thought of as subtract is now in the negative direction. That's algebra speak for the subtract that you learned in first grade. Adding a negative is the same as subtracting, which is why really this problem is really that. But right now they want you to understand that this is what adding a negative number means. So they really show it to you. But it's the same concept, okay? And then last but not least, if the signs are the same, add. If the signs are different, subtract. And the big one wins. What does that mean? Well, all right, let's start over here. I've got 3 plus a negative 6. If I go to this rule, signs are same, signs are different. So I'm going to look. This is a positive 3, this is a negative 6. The signs are different. So I'm going to subtract them. What's 6 minus 3? 6 minus 3 is 3. And the biggest one wins. Which is the biggest one? 6 is biggest, and it's a negative sign. That's negative 3. Now let's check our work. We're going to go to the 3, and we're going to go backwards. It's negative 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that gets us to negative 3. Now, we didn't have to count it out on a number line. I know that when I start with 3 and I take 6 away, what I'm really doing is subtracting. The signs are different, I subtract. And if this was a negative 2, I'd only go back this far. I wouldn't have crossed 0. The 3 is bigger. So this answer would be a positive 1. Because the 3 is bigger, then the positive number wins, and the answer is positive 1. But because the 6 is bigger, I went way far back and I crossed the 0, and I end up with a negative 3. Let's do another one. Negative 4 plus 7. The signs are different, so I'm going to subtract. 7 minus 4 is 3, and 7 is the bigger one. It's positive, so the answer is positive 3. Now let's look at what that looks like. I'm going to start at the 4, negative 4, and I'm going to go positive 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm going to end up right there at positive 3. Do you see the difference in doing it the quick way and doing it the long way? And see how we come up with the same answer, because I need you to understand that. Negative 5 plus negative 3. These two signs are the same, so we're going to add them. 5 plus 3 is 8. And the biggest number, 5, is a negative. So the answer is negative 8. What does that mean? Well, I'm going to start at negative 5, and I'm going to go negative 3 more. And that gets me to negative 8. When I start with a negative and go negative more, I'm adding together the negatives. I keep going in that direction. If I start with a positive and add another positive, I keep going in that direction. So I have to add the numbers up. It's when you've got one positive and one negative that you're doing this number. So you end up canceling some of them out. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, ask me tomorrow so that I can show you more, okay? And then we have 7 plus negative 2. So these signs are different. I'm going to subtract. 7 minus 2 is 5. 7 is the positive number. It's bigger, so the answer is positive 5. What does that look like here? I'm going to go all the way to the 7. I'm going to subtract 2. I'm going to end up on 5. Does that make sense? So, your turn. I'm going to ask you to try it without the number line. If you need to check with the number line, that's great, but try it. If the signs are the same, add. If the signs are different, subtract. You find the biggest number and you take that sign, positive or negative, and that tells you what sign the answer is. So do these 4 problems. 1, 2, 3, yep. Push pause, come back when you're done. Okay. These signs are different. I'm going to subtract. The answer is 2 with a negative sign. These signs are different. I'm going to subtract. This one's the biggest. 4 with a negative sign. These two are the same. I'm going to add. The biggest one is a negative. These two are different. I'm going to subtract. The biggest one's positive. How'd you do? That was quick. But really, you should be able to do positive and negative numbers that quick. If you don't understand what's going on, put a hazard sign here, put a question down, ask me tomorrow, okay? All right. Now, if this makes sense to you, fantastic. If you are still confused, I'm going to try and teach you in a slightly different way. And this is called fire and ice. and I need a little bit more tape, and I've run out of Scotch tape, so you get ugly blue painting tape. No. There we go. Okay, fire and ice. So we're going to pretend that all of the positive numbers, like a thermometer, all of the positive numbers are hot, and all of the negative numbers are cold. So the hot ones are red and the cold ones are blue, okay? So let's say we have 4 plus -7. That gives us 4 fires and 7 ice cubes. Well, these 4 are going to cancel each other out because the ice cubes put out the fire, but it's no longer ice cubes. It's steam now. It goes away. And all that's left is 3 ice cubes. 3 ice cubes. Get it? So now look, if I've got a +4 and a -7, the signs are different. I'm going to subtract, and the big one wins. So this is why the big one wins, because the big one is the one that's left over. The big one doesn't have stuff canceling each other out. Does that make sense? -9 and +11. I've got 9 ice cubes and 11 fires, and these are all going to cancel out, and you've got +2 left. Signs are different. I'm going to subtract, and the positive wins. The positive wins. Which is also why, if you've got the signs that are the same, I've got 4 fires here and I've got 5 fires here, that makes 9 fires. So that's why that equals 9. You've got to add them together. I've got 2 ice cubes and I've got 3 more ice cubes. So that's going to equal 5 ice cubes. Get it? Make sense? I hope this helped. If you want to ignore it, you can ignore it. You can just work with the straight math. But some people are more visual than that. And so hopefully that helps. All right. Before I show you this, I want to show you this really quick. Not this side, because this is subtraction for tomorrow. What happens if, and you will get this on your homework, what if I just say A plus B? And I'm going to tell you that A equals -5 and B equals 2. And that's all I'm going to tell you. And I know that you have to stick in, okay, if A equals -5 plus, and then B equals 2. So we're taking what we did last chapter about, you know what the variable is, stick it in your equation. Well, now I'm giving you 2 variables, but I'm telling you what they both are. And now you have to add them together. -5 plus 2. So signs are different, so you're going to subtract. That's going to equal 3, and 5 is bigger, so that's negative. Get it? Let's try another one. A equals 6 plus B equals -3. So signs are different. I'm going to subtract. Again, I get 3. But this time the 6 is bigger, so this is a +3. Does that make sense? So here you go. This is your turn. A equals -2, B equals 7. You give that a shot. You tell me what A plus B equals. Did you get it? I hope so. All right, so here's your practice. You have 6 addition problems with various positive and negative numbers. Copy them down. Put stars by everything that you're good at. Put hazard signs by everything that you don't understand. Write down any questions you have, and I will see you tomorrow. Good luck.